Good morning, everyone. We are the Group 7, and our topic is all about period of the new society. Period of new society start on 1972 to 1918. As you can see at the screen, you can see the report flow of our topic. First, we will talk the historical background, then the Filipino poetry writers, plays, radio and television, Filipino films, comics, magazine, and others. As you can see to the report flow, you can see the changes of the new society.
Period of the new society. What is the focus of the new society? New society focus on accessible stories addressing issues of social concern. The new society tried to stop pornography or these writings giving bad influences on the morals of the people. Historical background. The period of the new society started on September 21, 1972. The Carlos Palanca Awards continue to give annual awards. The new society tried to stop pornography of those writings, giving a bad influences on the morals of the people. All the school newspapers were temporarily stopped and with the school organization. The military government established a new office called the Ministry of Public Affairs that supervised the newspapers, books, and other publications. Almost all the themes in the most writing dealt with the development or progress of the country like Green Revolution, family planning, proper nutrition, environment, drug addiction, and pollution. Filipino poetry writer Ponciano Pineda. Ponciano B. Peralta Pineda is a Filipino writer, teacher, linguist, and lawyer. Ponciano Pineda is considered as the father of the Commission on Filipino Language. Aniceto Silvestre, born in San Mateo, Rizal, Philippines on April 17, 1898, to Domingo Silvestre and de Mejara Franuno. Aniceto Silvestre married to Maximina Minang Asis Castillo and had 3 children. He passed away on October 28, 1983 in Sampaloc, Manila, Philippines. My Valentine is a poem in Tagalog by Filipino poet Aniceto Silvestre. Jose Garcia Rebelo, Filipino poet, literary critic, short story writer, and painter. He was awarded the National Artist of the Philippines title for literature in 1973, as well as the Guggenheim Fellowship in Creative Writing by Conrad Aiken. He is known to have introduced the reverse consonance rhyme scheme in writing poetry, as well as the extensive use of punctuation marks, especially commas, which made him known as the comma poet. Vicente de Masalang. The predominance of modernism by reintroducing the beauty of traditional art. The Di Masalang artists bridged the gap between these two movements and established its eminent niche in Philippine art. Sir Lopez Francisco. He is considered an important progenitor of the modern Filipino short story in English. The development of the short story as a lyrical prose poetic form within Filipino literature. His works are now often taught in tertiary levels syllably in the Philippines. Pelagio Suit Roots. His contribution to literature were writing on government, society, philosophy, and politics. Here are some of his works. El Verdadero Decalogo, The True You in English. The following slogan of the new society: sa ikauunlad ng bayan, disiplina ang kailangan. Or in English, discipline is needed to develop a nation. Tayo'y kumain ng gulay upang humaba ang buhay. Let's each vegetable to length our lives. Magplano ng pamilya ng buhay ay lumigaya. Let's plan our families will lead happy lives. Ang pagsunod sa magulang, tanda ng anak na magalang. Obedience to the parents is mark of respectful child. Tayo'y magtanim upang mabuhay. Let's plan in order to survive.
So now, let's move on to play. Play is a work of drama usually consisting mostly of dialogue between the character and intendant for the theatrical performance rather than just reading. The following organizations contribute a lot to the development of plays during this period. First is the Philippine Educational Theater Association or the PETA by Cecile Guidaut and Lino Broca. The historical background of Cecile Guidaut. Philippine Educational Theater Association or the PETA was funded by Cecile Guidaut in 1967, the result of her vision of a national theater as crafted in a 500 pages tome, while she was a Fulbright scholar in the U.S. But martial law was imposed in 1972. Constitutional Convention delegate Heherson or Sonny Alvarez, Cecile's fiancé and husband-to-be, Secretary Juan Ponce Enrile and Cecile had to slip out of the country, and Lino Broca took over PETA, giving it new directions and shaping it according to his own vision and perspectives. First productions of PETA, Bayaning Huwad or Straw Patriot by Virginia Moreno, Larawan or A Portrait of the Filipino as Artist by Nick Joaquin. Repertory Philippines by Rebecca Godinez and Zeneda Amador. Repertory Philippines is known for producing plays in English, a subject of criticism by Filipino nationalists, although the theater company has a policy of not hiring foreign actors for the lead roles in their plays. Rebecca Godinez. She was a member of Repertory Philippines where she played numerous roles which include Tuptim in The Kind and I, cast as lead in the Flipzoids. As a result of that experience on stage, Becca has taken on the role of the theatrical producer. Zeneda Amador. Amador formed Repertory Philippines Foundation and Corporation as president and artist director in 1967, training theater hopefuls including Lea Salonga and Monique Wilson of Miss Saigon fame. Ben Cervantes. It was established by director Ben Cervantes in 1972 as an answer to the university's need for a responsible performing group in response to the worsening social conditions prevalent in those days. The company established a tradition of plays that mirrors the lives of Filipinos. Last but not the least, Teatro Filipino by Rolanda Tinio. Teatro Filipino was a resident drama company of the Cultural Center of the Philippines from 1976 to 1987. It was funded by Filipino playwright, translator, director, and educator Rolando S. Tinio, who also served as its artistic director. Rolanda Tinio. Among his many works for the theater are Larawan, the musical, Ang Mestiza, Ako, Ang Kiri, Ana Maria, and the Comedia Orosman at Safira. He was also known for translating Western classics, which includes the works of Shakespeare, Ibsen, Sophocles, Chekhov, and Puccini into Filipino. All plays revived by the government during these periods. Cenaculo. The word cenaculo or cenacle is derived from Spanish and describes the place where Jesus and his disciples celebrate the Last Supper. The Imbayaka of the Muslims. A poetic play similar to Tagalog's Beggarly, it includes dancing and singing. Theaters in the Philippines in the period of the New Society. Cultural Center of the Philippines. The Cultural Center of the Philippines is a government-owned and controlled corporation established to preserve, develop, and promote arts and culture in the Philippines. The Folk Arts Theater. The Tanghalang Francisco Balagtas, formerly known as the Folk Arts Theater, was a theater located in the Cultural Center of the Philippines Complex in Manila, Philippines. And the last one, Metropolitan Theater. Construction of the Metropolitan Theater became a kind of psychological reaction to liberation from austere living that prevailed during the years of the war.
Good afternoon everyone, and to you ma'am. I'm here today to tackle about radio and television. So first, let's define what is radio. Radio is a sound communication by radio waves, usually through the transmission of music, news, and other types of programs from single broadcast station to multitudes of individual listeners equipped with radio receivers. So radio continued to be patronized during this period. The play series like Si Matar, Dahlia, Ito Ang Palad Ko, and Mr. Lonely were the forms of recreation of those without television. So performing artists in radio, we have Augusto Victa. Augusto Victa, who first rose to fame as a radio drama actor known for Missing in Action, 1984, Escafo, 1985, and Hitseeker. We have Jean Palomo. Jean Palomo is now the head pastor at Jesus the Passover Lamb Church. He is also with Alta Productions and ABS-CBN as dubber for TV shows and movies. We have Meli Tagasa. Abimela Palomo Tagasa, better known as Meli Tagasa, was a Filipino actress, screenwriter, and dubbing producer. She was widely known for playing Miss Tapia in the sitcoms Baltic and Co. and School Bukol. Lastly, we have Esther Chavez. Esther Chavez, TV and movie actress and queen of Filipino radio drama, passed away at 93. She started her radio career at 17 and was still doing radio once a week at the age of 87. She wrote in the post sharing a photo of Esther, her voice recognizable by generations of radio listeners. So that's it for radio. Moving on for television. So television is a set piece of electrical equipment consisting of a box with a glass screen on it on which you watch programs with pictures and sounds. So here are the popular televisions played. Gulong ng Palad, Flor de Luna, Annalisa, Superman, and Tarzan were also popular with the youth.
Filipino Films, a yearly festa ng pelikulang Pilipino. Yearly Filipino Film Festival was held during this time. During the festival, which lasted usually for a month, only Filipino films were shown in all theaters in Metro Manila. Here the example of Filipino films, Manila sa Mga Kuko ng Liwanag by Edgardo N. Reyes. It tells the story of Julio Mantiaga, a young man from the province of Manrique who arrives in Manila for a mission to find his lover, Ligaya. While taking this plan for his mission, he has to survive the conditions in the capital city contending with issues like crime and prostitution. In the next example of Filipino films, Minsan Isang Gamo-Gamo by Nora Honor. Corazon de la Cruz, or Nora Honor, is a nurse in the Philippines in pursuit of proverbial American dreams for her grandfather. This is the betrayal to one country but despite this and the injustices being done by an American soldiers to her community. Corazon and the rest of her family turn a blind eye in favor of their own dreams. On the eve of Corazon dispatcher, an American soldiers from a nearby U.S. Navy base mistake her younger brother for a wild boy and shoots him dead. And the next example of Filipino film, Ganito Kami Noon, Paano Kayo Ngayon? After his mother death, the simple-minded and the naive scholas Christopher De Leon begins his much-awaited trip to Manila. On his way to Manila, and he mindlessly take a mission of retrieving a royal sons and bringing him to the royal residence. In the trivia of Filipino films, the films was restored in 2023 by the ABS-CBN Film Archive and Central Digital Lab. It took 2,479 manual hours to restore the films and 80 hours for a color grading. During its restoration, the film has noticeable impairment such as heavy splices and scratches and bleeding. The only extant 35 mm copy of the film was found in the collection of Cultural Center of the Philippines, and the ABS-CBN Film Restoration borrowed and used it for restoration. The original mono audio was lifted from the Betacam copy and restored and upgraded to the stereo by ABS-CBN Audio Force.
Comics. Comics is a medium used to express ideas with images, often combined with text or other visual information. It typically takes the form of a sequence of panels of images. Textual devices such as speech balloons, captions, and onomatopoeia can indicate dialogue, narration, sound effects, or other information. One of the most famous superheroes in Philippine comics, Darna is something of a mix between a Wonder Woman and Shazam. She's an extraterrestrial warrior that shares a body with a young girl named Narda, with the two transformation into each other with the help of a magic stone. Similar to the early Shazam comics, Darna and Narda are not the same person, although Narda's brother Ding served as Darna's regular sidekick. Number 2 comics is Jezebel. Jezebel is a Filipino comic book character conceived by Maris Ravelo and drawn by Elpidio Torres. Jezebel is a mermaid who eventually gains full human form through a deal with a sea witch. Number 3 comics is The Panday. The Panday is a fictional Philippine comics character created by writer Carlo J. Caparas and artist Steve Gunn. Panday was a metal smith whose name was Flavio. One night, a meteor or bulalakaw fell from the sky. He used the metal from the meteor to fashion a dagger and a church bell. The dagger would magically grow to become a sword when he raised it up and pointed it to the sky. Next comics is Lastic Man. Originally spelled Lastic Man, is a fictional character and Filipino comics superhero created by Mars Ravelo and artist Marty Santana. Plot: Larry, a physics professor from Manila, is secretly the superhero Lastic Man, a human mutant who has the ability to stretch and to shape-shift his body fantastically to great lengths and into any form he desires. He received his superpowers as a teenager when a meteorite crashed into a rubber tree right over him. And lastly is Teeny Tony, is a Filipino comic book character created by Mars Ravelo and illustrated by Jim Fernandez. A laboratory accident kills Dr. Morgan. Tony finds himself shrunk to a mere 6 inches. While he struggles to get back to normal, Tony must face enemies like the Indian warrior, Red Cloud, and the greedy Joaquin. Can Tony get himself out of trouble? He will.
Magazine, also called periodical, a printed or digitally published collection of text, essays, articles, stories, poems, or things illustrated that is produced at regular intervals, excluding newspaper. The leading papers during this period were Bulletin Today, Times Journal, Balita, Filipino Express, Philippine Daily Express, Evening Post, Evening Express. Bulletin Today, a brief statement of the latest news as in a newspaper or on radio or TV. Filipino Express, the Philippines Daily Express, commonly known as the Daily Express, was a daily newspaper in the Philippines. It was better known for circulating propagandist news articles related to then President Ferdinand Marcos during the time of his regime. Its Sunday's edition was known as the Philippine Sunday Express. All-time favorite magazine, Liwayway since 1920, Kislap, Bulaklak, Love Life, Extra, Jingles, sensation. Liwayway. Liwayway Tagalog word meaning down is a leading Tagalog weekly magazine published in the Philippines since 1922. It contains Tagalog serialized novels, short stories, poetry, serialized comics, essays, news feature, entertainment, news and articles, and many others. Kislap. Kislap, a well-read Filipino magazine in the 50s, was famed for its general interest in stars and divas of the era. The namesake collection beckons allusions to the textured figures of today's Filipino and Filipina with garments worn on shores but with a lambent sheen and glow of textile and materials. Bulaklak. Bulaklak magazine, literally flower magazine, subtitled Hiyas ng Tahanan, Gem of the Home, was a Tagalog language magazine that was first published in the Philippines on 14 April 1947, published by the Social and Commercial Press, a company owned by Beatrice M. de Gubala. Bulaklak magazine was similar in content and structure to Liwayway magazine, featuring narratives in prose, serials, poetry, entertainment, news, comics, strip, crossword puzzle, caricatures, and health tips, among others regular features. Extra Hot. Extra magazine is a news encounter with eroticism in city life, curiosity, tenderness, and exaltation for a sensual modern life. Jingle sensation. In the very first issue of Jingle magazine, published in the Philippines in October 1970, founding publisher and editor-in-chief Gilbert Guillermo penned the first of his regular notes to his readers. Jingle is a songbook magazine with emphasis on guitar chords. It is dedicated to the proposition that young people deserve good entertainment. Thank you. That's all.